can only be one champion. Thursday, March 12, 2026, the Karani James Athletic Stadium will become a battleground. 13 schools, one epic showdown. It's the Huggins Private Primary School Championship. Starting time 1 p.m. Students in uniform, $5. Children, $10. Adults, $20. Feel the tension. Hear the roar. Witness greatness as young athletes push their limits. It's the Huggins Private Primary Schools Track and Field Championship. Miss it and blame yourself.
A trip to Grenada from April 4th to the 6th, 2026. A decision you'll never regret. This isn't just any destination. It's where passion meets performance. Welcome to the 53rd Carifta Games, hosted at the iconic Kirani James Athletic Stadium in St. George's. Under the theme, Passion Drives Performance. The best of the Caribbean's junior athletes will compete in electrifying track and field competition. Organize now and be part of an experience like no other, where talent, passion, and perseverance come alive on the land of 100,000 jab jab. Feel the passion, celebrate the performance.
Welcome once again to our listeners. Welcome to our viewers. Welcome to The Point. It's Thursday. It's the 12th day of March 2026. Good morning to those of you listening and viewing this morning. Also, those of you via our social media platforms, good morning to you. Welcome. Nice to have you with us this morning. Today's edition of To The Point, we're talking fire. Yeah, so can I say it like that? We talking fire? Yeah, we talking fire. So we have the fire department with us this morning. We have Inspector Augustine Mitchell with us this morning and WPC 197. Of course, that's Kathleen Stafford with us this morning, and they're both representing the fire department. And before I move on, let me say good morning to those folks who are a part of the it's World Kidney Day also today.
Yes.
And it's World Kidney Day today, and there are some activities taking place at the Spiceland Mall. So those of you interested in heading on down there, you can go on down, and of course there'll be consultation opportunities to get some health checks and more. So I encourage you folks to do that. Officers, welcome once again, and good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Well, nice to have you as usual. It's typical to have the conversation that we're going to be having this morning around this time of the year. Yeah, we say we're into the dry season.
Yes, we are.
I was listening to someone talk the other day, and it says, and they said in particular, it's like between now and June is like 2 seasons. I hope I'm right about saying it. There's a dry season and there's a fire season. Am I right about it? Someone was saying between December and June is what we call the fire season. For some reason, there's always fires between this time of the year, and then there's the dry season. Yes. Am I right about that? Can I make it reference it like that?
Oh, yeah, you could.
You could, right?
You could, yes.
You could. All right. Let's start this morning conversation. There's always laws that governs or legislation that that talks about in relating to setting fires. What are the key legal restrictions on setting? Let's kick it off with agricultural fires, especially in Grenada. What are that key legal restrictions on setting agricultural fire in Grenada?
Well, the law clearly states in volume 2, chapter 6, 2010 of the continuous revised law of Grenada states that persons wishing to clear their land and burn for agriculture purposes must, in writing or in person, make an application to the Ministry of Agriculture Extension Officer. And in doing so, you obtain a license to burn. On that license, there is some guidelines that they give on the license in relation to the burning. The guideline speaks to 1, you must have water on the scene.
Yeah.
2, you must burn a small heap. 3, you must inform the fire department, and you must have a clear path. before you do so.
I find you stress a lot on the must part of it.
Yeah.
And and sometimes folks take it for granted or think, well, I must tell them anything because I feel like it, you get that feeling, or I can do it and control it and all of these things, but you must call the fire department.
Yes. Why I stress on the must? Because we realize in recent times people are failing to adhere to what's on the document.
Things could get out of hand.
Yes,
very quickly.
What we observe in recent times again, that persons having the license, but they're not the person that doing the farming.
Okay.
So the license is at home, but the farmer is in the garden.
What does the law say in reference to that? I may come to the fire department or the Ministry of Agriculture, get that license, obtain that license to start a fire, but maybe I'm the owner of the property, but I'm giving somebody else that to do. What does the law say in reference to that?
Well, if the land belongs to you,
yes,
right, you apply, you get through, you have somebody working, you have to brief them according to the license. What's on the license?
I say that in reference of in terms of the fire getting out of control. No, would the legal consequences be burden on you?
On the person, the owner of the property.
The owner of the property.
Yes, because them who get the apply for the license.
Yeah.
Right, and they've negligence to inform the farmer, so they're responsible for if any fire get out of hand. They're responsible. They may not be the person light the fire, but they're responsible.
Okay, understandable that. Why do you think that the government enforces that no-burn policy, per se?
The no-burn policy is basically when there's a low in our water supply.
Yeah.
We tend to get that low-burn policy coming into effect. Why? Because when the fire plants respond to fires, we use a large amount of water, because the fire plants hold 1,800 gallons of water. Sometimes we have to do that 3-4 times. So if there is a low in our water resource on the island, then imagine every day or twice per week, 3 times per week, we're using over 5,000, 8,000 gallons of water just to fight fire.
All right. I want you to speak to me, in reference to the procedure in terms of permission to burn. Let's talk about, especially, what steps must a farmer, take to obtain permission to burn.
Right. So, a farmer would have to go to the Ministry of Agriculture, the Extension Officer, and apply in person to get that said permission to burn. We advise persons also that while the law states that you can have permission, we are trying to promote a no burning culture, right? What we are promoting here also is that to make sure that they have a clear path, like when they are going to burn, to prevent continuous burning.
They also have to have water, as I said, on this side. They also have to, as I said earlier, inform the fire department. And if they apply and the ministry fail to give them that license, then they have up to 10 days. They can proceed and burn. All right? And during that proceeding and burn, they are reliable. Okay, if any damage, if I get out of hand, they are reliable. All right. Also, if they deny them that application that they make, then they could go to the Minister of Agriculture and obtain that license.
That was leading up to my next question on the same subject line. How does that appeal process work when permission is denied? How does that process works? That appeal process?
Well, as we say, you apply in person or in writing. The ministry may send somebody to look at the area, see what you have to burn, and they may deny you.
Okay.
You may feel like, they deny you, then they deny you with a response. And you feel, well, you're not satisfied with that denial, so you go to the minister. So the minister still have to get back to the Ministry of Agriculture, find out why is the reason why they didn't give that person the permission. May have a second look at that.
So another reinvestigation.
Right, and then yes, that license.
So what could that individual do now if, say, they were not granted that permission? After even making the appeal, they still was not granted it. Would they have to just leave that there? Maybe it's a farmland or something that they have. They may just have to leave it as is?
What we are promoting, as Mr. Stafford rightly say, is a no burning policy. So we urge person to make composting. Okay. You look for an area in the land, or where you may not have your soda pistol land in due time, so you put all the stuff there, and you're gonna compost, you're gonna decompose, and then you can use it back to the land. So we encourage that instead of persons burning, because when we burn, one, we pollute the air, two, we displace of animals to different location, and so we urge that person use most of the debris or the grass, the trees or the shrubs, and use it for compost.
Composting, okay. Yeah. Let's talk about consideration for others, especially when how can smoke from fire affect, nearby communities? Let's speak in relation to that.
Okay. What I can say, some persons, they suffer with respiratory illnesses, right? So whether for agricultural purpose, waste disposal, or controlled burning, you can produce significant amount of smoke and unpleasant odors. We have to bear in mind too, like the persons who has AC, the AC sucks in the polluted air. Okay. Right? So, and also we are ensuring proper ventilation and considering weather conditions, and it can also help reduce the impact of surrounding areas.
All right. Now, what are some of the responsibilities? I always say, what responsibility do individuals have towards neighbors, when setting fires?
Okay, right. So you must inform the neighbors, right? Because sometimes someone may have, let me say, we may do our laundry and we decide to put it out to dry, and then by the neighbor not informing us that they are burning on that said day, sometimes our clothes, will smell smoke. Yes. I did mention before the persons may have asthma also, and by doing so, by informing me that you're about to burn, then I could make alternative arrangements, right? So that if I have somebody in there, I can leave the area during that period, because burning could only take place for a certain amount of time.
Okay, all right. We're due for a break on this segment. Let's take it. When we come back, we continue the conversation. Stay with us, folks. It's To The Point, Classic Radio, GBN TV. We will be right back after the break.
My name is Dr. Abigail Noel, and I am the head of department at the Accident and Emergency Department. One thing I love about Mount Sinai is their spirit of collaboration. They came in with ideas that have transformed our department in real time. The implementation of ID bands for every patient that comes through the emergency department. That has decreased patient errors. They have implemented defibrillators on every ward. Thus far, 128 staff members have been trained in defibrillator use. The huddle system is basically small meeting with all team members. It improves communication between staff members as well as with patients. This transformation means everything to the emergency department and by extension the health system of Grenada.
Grenada, listen up. This one hits different. On Saturday, March 14, it's going down at the Roy St. John's playing field in Tantine with Grenada Autofest. More than cars, go head to head with Venti, Antics, and Classics, bikes, Jeeps, Land Rovers, and custom-built machines, all battling for $50,000 in cash and prizes. It's more than a car show. It's a family day. Look out for go-kart racing and bouncy castles, and we climax with Sakina and the Alpha One Band, plus a special surprise. It's Grenada Auto Fest, Saturday, March 14. It's a vibe you can't miss. Lock the date. Special thanks to our partners, Wagity Rental, True Blueberry Resorts, On The Spot Hardware, and all our category prize sponsors.
They come from near, they come from far. Once a year, Grenada holds its breath as the best athletes from our secondary schools converge on the Kirani James Athletic Stadium for a special moment in time. Intercall, 90 events, 24 schools, 3 days, 2 champions to be crowned. Intercall 2026, March 17th to the 19th. It's more than just about medals. It's about school pride. It's your legacy on the line. Intercall 2026. Come, be part of history. Join the coverage live on GBN Television, the home of Intercall 2026.
GBN's broadcast of Intercall 2026 is made possible by Answer Coating, Grenville Credit Union, Rise and Shine Supermarket, Grenada Paper Products, Grenlec, the National Training Agency, Banfields, Rush Distributors, Innovair Air Conditioning Units, Flow, Echo Motors, Barry's Engineering, and Grenada Development Bank.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. Welcome, officers from the fire department. I did see 197, but it's 193. Let me get that right. WPC 193. Welcome back once again. Folks, let's continue the conversation this morning. Let's talk a wee bit about safety measures, because this is important, and to be safe in terms, especially when you want to light fires and so forth. And I understand after getting the permission, safety practices is crucial. Very crucial.
Much, yeah.
What precautions should be taken, before starting, especially when, let's say, a controlled burning?
Right. So, as we say, we are in the dry season.
Yeah.
And we know in the dry season, we have an increase in wind speed, wind direction, wind speed. So most people does not take into consideration the wind speed.
Yeah.
And what I learned over the years, that heat attracts oxygen. So the moment time you light, you may feel outside not breezy outside, but the moment time you light and you get out of control is because all the oxygen in the atmosphere joins to that heat.
Fire sucks it.
So we are admonishing people, when you're setting fire, 1, pay attention to the wind. 2, do not set fire and turn your back. Whereas people setting fire, they're going home. The garden maybe on the carnage, you live here, you go home, so you go for your breakfast, but you set a fire. Yes, when you return, it's out of control. Right. So we admonish people, do not set fire and leave it unattended. That's a bad practice. We notice in recent times that a lot of persons going around setting fires. Yeah, people setting fires now.
Okay.
Even children home now flying a kite and setting fires. It's a bad practice. So we admonishing the parents, if you have a child at home, please make sure that they keep away the matches, the lighters, any source of any form of heat source. You try to limit them from having these things, because we realize people are going around setting fires now.
So you're saying that the weather condition plays an important factor in fire safety also?
Very much, especially because most of the time in the dry season, that's when people want to clean up the land for the rain season. And they want to set it on fire, clean up, set on fire. And most of the time people leave it and they gone home. I know as a young boy growing up, we go to garden, we light fire and then we leave it and go.
Yeah.
Now if you're going, because we ask you to have water on the site and you're leaving that land with a small heap burning, then we ask you to extinguish it before you leave. Don't leave it burning and go, because we don't know in the next hour or two what will take place, because emblems flying up and all over, and then it might just catch a dry patch and out of control.
Yeah, before you know it, you're endangering yourself and others also.
And others, out of control.
All right. Let's talk, challenges faced. Last year was, how would you rate last year in terms of the challenges you had? Was there many, what are the main difficulties you actually face in enforcing fire regulations and so forth? What was one of the main challenges?
Right now, the terrain it's a great challenge for us.
Yeah.
When you speak about the terrain, there are some places where houses are built. There are some places where people try to do controlled burning and they get out of hand. And getting there with a fire plant is very difficult for us sometimes. Also, some of the challenges, well, every year we mention it, people parking at the roadside, narrow roads. You may come with the fire truck, they hear you, sometimes you have to stop, honk your horn, the siren on. Sometimes you have to get somebody to go and ask the person to come and remove the vehicle, and it delay our response. So that is some of the challenges we have. Also, persons just calling. When I say just calling them, your neighbor light a small fire, they inform you, right? And you will still call the fire station and say, well, my old grandmother is inside there and it's disturbing us, and then we have to attend to that, and then we have to leave. Sometimes it doesn't warranty us going to that.
Even if the neighbor may have informed them I'm going to be lighting a fire, but they still call the fire department.
Yeah, because recent times I went to one at Springs, Belmont area, and the neighbor said, well, I inform her. I asked, I said, the neighbor, yes, she informed me, but when she come from work, a lot of stuff was in the veranda. Emblems, firearm, and so it does happen. So it brings a sort of challenge to that person have a license. They inform me. You go to them, you ask them, or they call you, ask them. Yes, they still wanted to respond. You respond, and then when you go it's not enough.
What kind of fire department do in circumstances like that?
Well, most of the time we talk to the owner, the landowner, the person setting the fire, to be more, cautious, be more visible of your surroundings and so they know if the neighbor calls. So most of the time, if the neighbor calls, it's because maybe you fail to inform them. Right, and sometimes they get the license and they fail to call the fire station. So when somebody calls and say, "Oh, there's a fire in Spring, there's a fire in Grandans," so and so burning, then we might come to our thoughts. Yes, this person had a license.
Okay. GT, let me just add, if you are living in an area too that is prone to bushfire, right, we recommend that you clear around your property, because some parts in, like for instance, I know some parts in St. David's where they have like the cane grass, and these grasses and them, they are easy to ignite. Yeah. So we recommend that you clear the area, and in terms of your guttering and your spouting, you may find leaves in there also. So we ask persons to clean it regularly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because the illegal burning sometimes impacts, public health.
Yes.
A lot. How has that been? What has been some of the conversations, I'm assuming the fire department will go to various communities and have these conversations. How has the public been impacted in that, in terms of the public health, especially when it comes to illegal burning?
I think last year was one of our greatest success.
Yeah,
because we went out to schools, we went out to business places, communities, and also we had a great help with the weather pattern last year. It was sort of a mix, dry rain season, and it helps significantly decrease the amount of fires we had last year. Persons do adhere because our promotion now, we get a lot of people calling and ask what we can do. Can we light fire? Although we tell them no, we cannot give permission, and we direct them accordingly, and we advise them better to do a compost. The community you live in, how close is the neighbor to you? And we ask questions, so people do respond to the promotion now. People ask questions than before. Before people just go on light, and then when they get a hand they call. But people call now, and even they come in to the fire station, to the department, and ask questions. They'll have a small thing, what do you think about burning it? And we advise them what to do.
All right, so folks are now having that different mentality in terms of lighting fire. That's
yes.
What you're saying.
Even yesterday, a gentleman came and he said, I was listening to you, and then I was about to go and light fire. But when I hear what you say, I decide no, I might get a lockup. So people people is hearing us these days.
There's always new trends and so forth in related, to relating to this. What alternative to burning? Especially, let's talk about farmers. And are they beginning to adopt these new alternatives to burning? You spoke earlier about composting.
Yeah.
Are there any other alternative that farmers could adopt? In terms, instead of that actual in an alternative to burning fires.
Well, some farmers, what they do, they spray the grass.
Yeah.
Then when it dries up, they get the plower and they turn over the soil with that, so that dry grass will stay there and decompose and become compost. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Then they cut in and burn or they cut and they compost. Yeah.
Let's talk in reference how might technology per se, like drones and satellite monitoring change in terms of fire management, in terms of the future. Thinking ahead, is that going to help all a lot?
Very much. We wish we could get a drone going and dip some water from the sea now and go into, because in recent times we're having some large bushfires taking us almost half of the day or a day to fight, or sometimes it go on beyond the next day. And as we see the terrain, sometimes we just have to leave it, let it burn, or we have to make fire line.
Yeah.
We make the fire line so it burns it itself, but we still have to stay on scene and monitor it that it don't cross over. So we wish we could get this technology that we have the drones flying over, coming deep in water and going on, but unfortunately we don't have it as yet, but I believe in the future we will.
It most likely will be coming soon.
Yes.
It's most likely coming soon. 2026 thus far, what are some of the challenges that thus far? Has there been any major fires that the fire department has been attending to thus far for 2026? We just into the third month of the year, I understand, but what are some of the stats? Let's talk 2026 and then we go into the stats for 2025.
All right. So 2026, we had 48 fire during that period.
For the year thus far?
No,
Are we talking 2025?
2026, we have 42.
So for the year thus far, this 3 months that's within it, we had 42 fires. 42 fires.
Yes.
That's
16 rubbish.
Yeah.
11 bush. When we say bush, we mean uncontrolled fires.
Okay.
We had dwelling house. 11, 2 falls, 1 electrical, 2.
All right. So let's roll into the stats for 2025. I remember last year when we were having a conversation of this level, you spoke of 2025. It was not a bad year because of the fact that the weather conditions was a bit favorable in terms of controlling it. Let's talk 2025 stats in particular.
Okay, so 2025 we had a total of 237 fire for the period January to December. We see that bushfire was the most prevalent.
Okay.
Yeah. We had 70 emergency responded to 70 bushfires. We had 69 rubbish fires. We had 28 dwelling house fires. We had 11 electrical. We had 8 vehicular fires. And we had to respond to assist with 6 accidents throughout the department. We also had 6 business house fires for 2025.
All right. And would you, with the stats you're looking at thus far from 2025, and we just in the first quarter of 2026?
Yeah. 2 months just passed.
Yeah.
Just past 2 months. And so far we have a total of 42.
42.
Yes.
Is that concerning a wee bit in terms of?
It is, because I would say 1 fire is a little too much.
Yeah.
1 fire is too much.
Every fire is a concern.
It's a concern. So we see that so far for the 2 months we have business house, we have 2, and we also had 2 dwelling house.
Okay.
Thus far. For that's January and February.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a break. When we come back, we continue the conversation. Stay with us, folks. To the point, Classic Radio GBN TV. We will be right back after the short break. Don't touch it down.
At Sonova, we create human-centered technology that helps organize.
There can only be one champion. Thursday, March 12th, 2026, the Karani James Athletic Stadium will become a battleground. 13 schools, one epic showdown. It's the Huggins Private Primary School Championship. Starting time 1 p.m. Students in uniform, $5. Children, $10. Adults, $20. Feel the tension. Hear the roar. Witness greatness as young athletes push their limits. It's the Huggins Private Primary Schools Track and Field Championship. Miss it and blame yourself.
Back too close, you ain't even know me. Trust my brothers from way back from the north. Me and the ocean, spend it like they owe me. Gotta stay select. Don't come around to me, better come correct. Different lives that we lead, I'm in the night.
Before the digital age, before the world moved at the speed of a click, there was a signal connecting a nation. In 1985, Discovery Television began a journey that would help shape broadcasting in Grenada. From those early days to the trusted voice you know today, Grenada Broadcasting Network. For 4 decades, through radio and television, we have informed, inspired, and connected our nation. Your stories, your voices, your moments. One nation, one network.
Stomp out careless or intentional bushfires, dead out. Youths, hunters, smokers, let's prevent bushfires. Here's why.
Yeah, bushfires. The shoreline's wet, crops should be bushfires. Can lead to food scarcity, threatened biodiversity, cause water shortage, water calamity. Bushfires in watersheds deplete water quality, threaten property, life and security. Bushfires set intentionally, water sanity.
Bushfires can cost millions in losses annually and are often caused by careless or intentional actions indictable under the law. Forests are life-giving. Save them. A message from the Fire Department of
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back to our viewers once again. It's To The Point, and today being Thursday, the 12th. We have the fire department with us this morning. We know we're into the dry season, preparedness and you know, fire safety and prevention. It's pivotally important around this time of the year. So I want to get into another segment of questioning per se. I want to talk about, you know, property preparedness and hardening, because, you know, there are times that folks get a wee bit loose, just for a simple word of saying, just to come across to you with this, in terms of, you know, around this time of the year. You know, we know pretty soon the youngster's going to be off from school. You leave them home. There are lots of things that folks leave home, that especially the flammable liquids and so forth. Talk to me in terms of that. How can folks, prepare their properties so that, you know, it doesn't get into the option of fires happening and lose their entire property over that?
Okay. So in terms of your building, or you could start with like close to your home, you make sure around the area you remove all flammable materials like dry grass, leaves, and debris within a safe radius around the burn site, you know, to prevent accidental fire spread. You could purchase a fire extinguisher. You could always have a fire extinguisher. So once the fire starts, once it's a small fire, you could try to control it before it spreads. And in terms of your, like close to your boundary area, whenever you, let me say you clean up around your area, you make sure that area there is free from, debris and stuff like that. In terms of your children, the small children, you always have a conversation with them. You keep matches and lighter away from young children, right? When you're in the kitchen, you always remember to keep the pot handles away from you. So you push it to the back of the stove so that you may not have an accidental, overspill, for instance, if you're frying or stuff or using oil.
All right.
Also, we urge persons to do that evacuation plan. It's very important in homes, especially when you have children. You do evacuation plan, you plan it, you execute it, and make sure that they get it right. So all that is preparing your children in case of emergency, preparing the home, not only the children. You have somebody that is bedridden, sick, you know how to get them out from the home to the closest or to your muster point, wherever you'll be gathering, how to get them there. So you prepare your home just in case you have an emergency. It's a basic every year thing. We want person to know that the children shouldn't be playing with matches, lighters, your calling pin, no electrical stuff. So we encourage persons. So nothing that going to cause a fire, we try to keep it away from your children.
When we talk about, fire prevention habits, it comprises a lot, especially like, outdoor equipment. Sometimes you have these things outdoor, your vehicles and stuff. Right. Speak to me in relation to that.
Right. Vehicles. What I want to say about vehicles now and vehicles then. Vehicles now, we have the hybrid, we have the e-vehicles, electrical vehicles. It's much more difficult to fight fire with the hybrid and the e-vehicle.
Other than the other combustion vehicles before.
The ordinary combustible combustion engine, we go there with water, and so which is dangerous.
Yes.
Also, we have to have a full gas, and we may be able to contain or extinguish with the hybrid and EV because of the batteries.
Okay.
Then our responding to these fires is to get other vehicles and away from these vehicles.
Well, is Grenada Fire Department equipped to of course deal with fires of that nature?
Well, we're not 100%, but training will get us there. We're not 100%, but training will get us there.
Electrical and indoor safety is also important, especially individuals in their homes. What advice would you like to throw the individual in relation to that?
Electrical in homes.
Yes.
Right. So persons in home and there is a fire, electrical. Well, if it's an electrical fire, we advise them to turn off the main switch. If you turn off the main switch, it becomes a ordinary combustible material. If it's energized, when I say energized, there's electricity flowing, then we know you cannot throw no water. You wait until Glen come, and then they do what they have to do, and then we can fight that fire. Because most people think when we reach on the scene of a fire, we automatically have to just get into action. No, we have a MOU with Glen. So on this, when we're responding, Glen respond alongside us. If there is electricity in the building, then they energize the area, and then we start the fire. So long as Glen is not on the scene, we shouldn't. But guys still does because of the experience and maturity in firefighting.
Because I'm assuming now fires will report it. The fire department just can't come and just start pouring water like that. No. At least maybe a formal or informal investigation have to be done first.
Exactly.
Even though you may see the fire, yes, the house may be burning, but some investigation will have
we do assessment first.
Yes.
Yeah, and then we tell the guys, okay, you may proceed, we start commence fire suppression, or say, okay, let it hold for 10-15 minutes, let Glen come. Sometimes the electrical line is on the ground.
Yeah.
And it's energized.
You just can't come
and throw water. So we Yes.
All right. To our listeners and viewers, we have approximately 15 more minutes left on the program. If you do have a question or two that you may like to ask some folks from the fire department this morning, feel free to do so. Let's talk a wee bit about emergency procedures, especially in terms of fires. Let's talk a wee bit. When a fire happens, it's an emergency.
Yes.
And especially, you said that emergency, that individual should have at their home practice that escape routes or whatever they want to have. What are the emergency practices or preparedness should the individual adhere to?
Persons at home, any emergency, okay, any emergency. The procedures is, if there is a fire, we're talking fire. If there is a fire, a small one,
yes, you
will try to extinguish it. But still, while you're doing that, get somebody, or if you can call, you call the fire station 911, or you call our landline, or immediately, so we know there is a fire, even though you have it under control. But we want to call the fire department. Yes, call the fire department. We're gonna respond. Because most of the time people will ask for reports because of insurance policies, and we never respond to that fire. We never knew there was a fire there.
Is it always okay for someone to try to attempt to out fires on their own? Would you advise folks to do that or not advise folks to do that, depending on the nature of the fire?
All right. Fire have 4 different stages.
Yeah.
They have the initial stage when they now start. That's when we advise person to attempt.
Yeah.
All right. Then they have the growth stage. Then they have the fully developed stage. So we advise person when they see reaching the growth stage, meaning they start over flash now, other materials in the house started to engulf in flame, get out.
Yeah.
And within that time, the fire department, the fire plant should be on the way, because you already make the call in the initial stage. Now, if you fail to do that and you try to fight it for yourself, most of the time, people they have with a garden hose and they fighting to wear down, and they're not calling the fire department.
Yeah.
So you're gonna reach a fully developed stage, so everything now engulfed, and then you're gonna just burn out. But we advise person in the initial stage.
If you could distinguish it, is all.
Yes, but still call the fire department.
Okay.
Make sure you call.
All right. We do have a caller on the line. Let's entertain this caller and then we move on. Caller, you are live. Good morning. Welcome.
Yeah, morning, GT. Morning to the officers.
Morning.
And thanks for the conversation. I really think those conversations are really needed. But I would also suggest that some assistance or funding is being put towards saturating the airwaves with appeal or if giving information for people to really take this thing seriously. Additionally, we need to help people to understand the seriousness of the challenge of fire, especially in the age of climate change. And it's interesting that although the officers have mentioned weather, they have not mentioned climate change or so yet. But I'm not saying that they may not have. But I think we need to link that much, because we have an impending drought coming on for this year. And it will be most important that whatever water supply, whatever water is available, that is being able to use mainly for domestic and maybe business stuff, and rather than have to be liable to like recently in this case of Black Alum, we need to help people to understand that any idea of fire should be a concern. And maybe time. I'm glad that the officer said that we are moving towards sort of encouraging no burning altogether. But we should probably, even from now, impose a moratorium. As you do when sometimes you have a state of emergency, certain things are suspended. So we could suspend the right to burn at this point in time by everyone. And help people understand that you could do things to help the climate by sequestering the material you have, so that the rate of emission will be slower. We need to help people understand all of these things, but it has to be done from a community inclusive point of view. Everyone has to be on board. Too much fire in this place. We need to understand that. And finally, maybe we need to probably, people will say when crimes happen like murder and so, we need to do harsher punishment. I think we need to impose harsher punishment, and people would think that they could just set fire like that because threatening the health and safety of other people. Thank you very much for your indulgence.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so very much for your contribution this morning. I think the caller did make a lot of sense in terms of his contribution this morning. And it's still the part where he says that in terms of the penalties.
Penalties is very, very minimal. We always have that discussion that instead of taking people to court, if we could get a legislation where we ticket people. You go to the scene because of the negligence, we give them a ticket. So you don't have to go this process of going to court and so. So we praying that one day the administration will pass this legislation where the fire department could go and ticket people, because sometimes the amount of water we use on fire.
If it could prevent it in the initial stages, it would save time of the fire department having to come to deal with that if this thing are done in the proper way also.
Yes.
All right. We do have another caller. Caller live. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Gigi, and good morning to your guests.
Good morning to you.
Morning. Okay, just a little quick short. We had a fire in John Gray about, let's say, 2 years ago. And when we called the fire truck, it was one house that just started burning. We called the fire truck instantly. When we called them, the truck came here. It took him a while, but when they did came, they had very little water in the truck. Very little water. By the time they pulled the hose out to go over we lost 4 houses. By the time they called for backup, 4 houses was already gone. So I wonder if sometimes when they finish, if they don't fill the trucks and leave it just in case they get an emergency call again. That very little water in the truck. And that was so bad because we lost 4 houses in the area here. That's my main concern this morning.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. I guess that was a concern there from a caller, but I'm not sure of the circumstances.
Well, based on what she's saying, our plants always have water. We never out of water from their plants. Every emergency we go on sometimes I tell them guys the closest hydrant full up, because you don't know when you're gonna on the way back you'll get an emergency call. So our plants never have water, but what people fail to understand that we have our plants have 1,800 gallons of water. In the high flow we can use 800 gallons of water in a minute, and in the low flow 450 gallons in 1 minute.
So that how many gallons could be done in 1 minute.
And then if we don't have remember when we finish, if we don't have a hydrant close by then we have to proceed to a hydrant, get it full up, come back, and that's kind of delay.
I understand. So that could be sometimes the severity of the fire. May just not be enough for one truck to handle it.
Because when we go on fire scenes, we really try to contain and extinguish, right? Prevent the other houses from igniting. But sometimes it happens that it ignites. Because what does heat transfer, according to the closeness of the building, when heat transfer, there is not no we could do. We would like to extinguish and contain, but sometimes it does not happen.
All right. Well, I hope the caller understands the circumstances. Of course, it's not something the fire department would certainly like to extinguish all fires.
But what we try to encourage persons when houses and things are burning, please do not get back into that house. Better you lose the building than you lose your life. Material things will always come back, but you will never get back your life. Because what we observe, person going back to get a phone, get the computers, get other things in the house, and then and run backward. Some people get minor burns, some get severe burns, and they have to be conveyed to the hospital. So we encourage person do not go back. Better leave the houses let it burn, then you lose your life.
You know, because I always say, you know, fire, losing your possession through fire is even worse than someone stealing it.
Yeah, it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing. Yes, to see what you
all
know,
of your possessions goes
all
up
your
in flame.
life.
So,
yeah, what you work for all your life just go up in flame. But I mean, if you have life, you're gonna build back until you lose your life, and then you lose your life and you lose the property.
So that's why a lot of attention have been put into ways of preventing.
Yes, yeah,
preventing.
We're pushing that very much. Yeah.
Fires from happening. Yeah. All right. Anything else we want to have thrown out in terms of information to the folks? I know there's always that bit of information that we may have a lapse on just a wee bit. Anything else you want to try before we take a wrap for today? I think we may have already exhausted all of our calls for the morning.
Okay. I would just like to encourage persons who are the road users. Yes. If we realize lately we are seeing that there is a lot of vehicles on the road, so we are admonishing to the drivers that once they hear the siren to give way. Give way to traffic so that we can get to that emergency as soon as possible.
I never know
to
that
save life and property.
That obstruction could be your home. That obstruction could be your home, something you're not noted at the time. Anything else, Inspector, you want to mention?
Well, we have to be mindful again of the tearing around, especially in the south of the island. We know that's the Hotel Bell, a lot of businesses down there, and we're encouraging, as Mr. Stafford rightly said, the drivers using that side of the island. Yes, we know sometimes you don't want to go down in the ditch when you hear the siren. You want to compete and stay on the good side, but just heal a little bit. Maybe sometimes it's about 2 seconds. Give the fire plant a little room to pass. Also, I want to thank our volunteer service for coming out whenever we have emergencies. They do really assist with our manpower when we have emergencies. So we thank the volunteers for coming with us. The general public on a whole, I think people are, adhering to some of the policies and the no burning policies and some of the guidelines we are pushing out in relation to burning and house protection.
And these practices could certainly save your home if you follow the advice that are given and the tips that we throw it from time to time.
Yes.
We did say we exhausted our call, but I think we do have one more caller. We'll entertain this caller and then we, of course, will take a wrap for today's edition. Caller, you're live. Good morning. Welcome.
GT.
Good morning.
Good morning. What's it?
Doing all right.
Listen to me. The fire truck does have water. I could attest to that. They does have water. What happens to the fire truck is the tanks are very small. So if they call to deal with a fire, by the time the fire truck reach and they start to pump water, the water finish. But the fire truck does have water. What happens is they must have 2 or 3 big trucks. You there?
Yeah, we're listening to you, caller.
You must have about 2 or 3 trucks in the fire station where they full of water. So when the fire truck go on a fire, one of the truck could go. So.
Caller, I think you're being distracted because you do have a radio, your television in the background, which is repeating yourself just a wee bit. But we do understand that we do get a drift of what you're saying. But I think of course, the inspector did mention exactly what you said. Officers, I want to thank you once again for coming and sharing information this morning. And I know lots of the listeners and viewers, of course, may understand and prepare themselves. And safety is important as we enter the dry season. And as I mentioned, it's hard to lose your possession through a fire. That's what it's more destructive. Probably if someone steals your stuff, you may not feel so bad. You can understand. But losing it through a fire is really, really tough for some folks. So thank you once again, and best wishes for the rest of the day.
Thank you.
Hey folks, that's what we're going to take a wrap for today's edition of To The Point. Thank all who contributed towards today's program. Thank you so much. That's what we're going to take a wrap for today. Have a good one, folks. That's where we say goodbye.